The cargo bay of the Crimson Talon reeked of burnt plasma and defeat. Commander Zixara of the Krillian Mercenary Corps stood rigid, her chitinous armor cracked in 3 places, her pride shattered in considerably more. The human beside her, Marcus Webb, freelance salvager and apparent miracle worker, was busy patching a breach in the hull with nothing but scrap metal and what he called good old-fashioned ingenuity. "You're staring?" Marcus said without looking up. Zixara's 3 eyes blinked in sequence, a Krillian tell she despised. "I am analyzing your primitive repair methodology." "Uh-huh." The human grinned, his species' insufferable habit of baring teeth that somehow didn't signal aggression. "You're wondering how we survived that ambush when your fancy warship got torn apart like tissue paper," she wanted to argue. She wanted to cite her 17 years of combat experience, her decorated service record, the fact that Krillian battle doctrine had conquered 47 star systems. But the evidence was damning. Her entire squadron, 12 ships, 300 warriors, had been obliterated by Zalthine raiders in under 8 minutes. Only her escape pod had survived, and only because this infuriating human had somehow predicted the attack vector and positioned his battered freighter exactly where she'd eject your vessel. "Shouldn't have survived," she muttered. "Yeah, well, humans are funny that way." Marcus sealed the breach and stood, wiping grease on his already filthy jacket. "We tend to survive things we shouldn't." Zixara's translator chip struggled with the idiom, but she understood the sentiment. The galaxy had been watching humanity since their first FTL test 30 years ago, a species that had clawed its way from stone tools to starships in an evolutionary blink. Most species took millions of years to reach space. Humans did it in 10,000, and they'd arrived angry, curious, and utterly unpredictable. "The armor needs to come off," Marcus said, interrupting her thoughts. "What? Your armor? It's leaking hydraulic fluid, and unless Krillian biology is very different from what I've read, that stuff is toxic to you." He gestured to the purple substance dripping from her cracked chest plate. "You're being poisoned by your own equipment." Zixara's secondary heart skipped. He was right. She could feel the numbness spreading through her thorax. But the alternative was, "I cannot remove my armor in front of." Her skin plates flushed deep violet, a mortifying display of embarrassment that every species in the galaxy could apparently recognize. "It is not appropriate." Marcus held up his hands in what she'd learned was a human peace gesture. "Hey, no judgment here. But you've got maybe 10 minutes before that stuff hits your nervous system. Your call, Commander." She stood frozen, military protocols warring with survival instinct. In Krillian culture, removing one's armor before anyone outside family bonds was equivalent to, there wasn't even a human word for it, profound vulnerability, intimate exposure. She'd rather die than. The numbness reached her primary lung cluster. "Turn around," she commanded, her voice failing to hide her panic. "Already done." Marcus had spun to face the wall, hands clasped behind his back like some kind of soldier at attention. "Just so you know, there's a decontamination shower behind that panel. Yellow button activates it, neutralizes most toxins. How did you read the manual on Krillian equipment? Seemed prudent since half the mercs in this sector use your gear." He paused. "No peeking, I promise. Humans have this thing called privacy. We're weird about it." Zixara's translator flagged the word privacy as culturally significant. Of course, humans, the species that had somehow survived everything from ice ages to thermonuclear wars, had developed complex social protocols around vulnerability. They understood shame, dignity, and the importance of trust in impossible situations. Her fingers trembled as she released the armor seals. The plates fell away with wet, sickening sounds. She stood exposed, her natural carapace a pale shade of blue-green that marked her as young for a commander. The shame burned worse than the poison. "Marcus," she said quietly. "Yeah? Thank you. Don't mention it. Seriously, don't. My reputation as a tough guy is already shot after I rescued a kitten from a trash compactor last month." Despite everything, the pain, the embarrassment, the utter collapse of her worldview, Zixara felt her mandibles twitch in what might have been a laugh. She stumbled toward the decontamination panel, activated it, and let the cleansing foam wash away the toxins along with her preconceptions about humans. 10 minutes later, wrapped in an emergency thermal blanket that Marcus had tactfully left folded near the shower, Zixara emerged to find the human had prepared something called coffee. It's a human stimulant, he explained, still facing away. Figured you could use it. Also made you a temporary armor rig from spare parts. It's ugly, but it'll hold until we reach New Titan Station. She stared at the makeshift armor, a patchwork of mismatched plates and human military surplus, and felt something shift in her understanding of the galaxy. The Krillian Empire taught that strength came from uniformity, from following protocols established over millennia. But humans, they thrived in chaos. They improvised, adapted, and somehow found ways to protect even their enemies when basic decency demanded it. You may turn around now, she said. Marcus did, offering her the coffee with a smile that didn't show teeth this time, a genuine expression she realized, not a threat display. So, Commander, ready to tell me why Zalthine raiders knew exactly where to hit your convoy? Zixara's eyes widened. I think someone sold you out, and I think you're going to need help finding out who. He extended his hand in the human gesture of partnership. Interested in hiring a salvager who apparently can't mind his own business? She looked at his hand, scarred, dirty, attached to a being from a species that had conquered nothing, claimed no empires, built no grand armadas. A species that had simply refused to die when the universe told them to, and had somehow turned that stubbornness into an art form. Zixara reached out and clasped his hand. Agreed, human. But we need to establish boundaries. No peeking during future emergencies. Marcus laughed, and for the first time since the ambush, Zixara felt something like hope. Deal, he said. No peeking. But I reserve the right to save your life in embarrassing ways. That, Zixara replied, her mandibles clicking in genuine amusement, is the most human thing I've ever heard. Outside the viewport, the stars stretched on forever, cold, infinite, and full of species that had evolved over millions of years to survive their hostile universe. But somewhere in that vast darkness, one young species had decided that survival wasn't enough. They demanded dignity, privacy, and the right to help others maintain both, even when it made no tactical sense. As the Crimson Talon jumped to hyperspace, Zixara decided that perhaps the galaxy had severely underestimated humanity. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced, but because they had weaponized kindness, and nobody had seen it coming.